Welcome back to Solomon's Porch with your host Jason,
And Shawn.
and we are here doing a review of WandaVision episode 5. We felt like it was such a great episode. It was so important enough to where we need to go ahead and jump on here and break it down for all of you out there who might be trying to figure out what in the world is going on. I'm not going to say we're the top-notch experts, but I do feel like we have some things we can share. There were some things that Shawn noticed that I didn't notice, and I don't know if there was anything that I noticed that you didn't notice. However, we do want to go ahead and break down the episode and talk about the exciting possibilities. As the title says, mutants have finally approached the MCU. So, man, let's kind of start from the top and work our way down. One of the funniest things that I really appreciated was kind of the intro. You know, like every episode has an intro that was themed according to the decade that this is being shot. What were some of the shows that you felt this was kind of similar to?
Uh, well, Full House, Family Ties, those sorts of shows.
Yeah,
Full House was technically a little bit later in the decade, but still, some of the hairdos, which was still the 80s, but whatever.
yeah. So one of the things I loved was the image of Little Vision.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. I wasn't sure if you were gonna like that though. I was like, Sean might find that kind of corny. I don't know. How'd you feel about it?
Well, yeah, it's corny, but it was kind of cute at the same time. Out of all the pictures that they flashed up there, which was very Family Ties, TV show intro, that this is the only one that made me kind of chuckle. That I was like, oh, that's kind of cute.
Gotcha. So we get the intro, and we see Wanda trying to quiet the babies, and she's having a hard time. And one of the things that you notice is that she can't control the children's cry. She even tries to manipulate them using her magic, and it doesn't work. And then Agnes comes in. She tries to help a little bit, and then she does this thing where she says, "Should we take it from the top?" Because Vision didn't like what was necessarily what Agnes was trying to do. And so you kind of get this situation where Vision, who seems like he's unaware still of everything that's going on, he has no idea what the reality of the situation is. And Agnes seems to be playing right along with Wanda. Like, she knows what's going on. One of the other things about Agnes is, if you recall, a couple episodes ago, when they were like casting, they were getting, Wanda casted this person as this character. They had all these pictures with identification of the people, their first and last name. Agnes did not have a last name on her photo on the thing on the board, and she didn't have an ID. So a lot of people are thinking she's some type of Agatha Harkness, which is a sorcerer in the comics, and so they're thinking she's a version of that, which I think everybody pretty much agrees. Like, especially being that her name is Agnes. So
I think she's called a sorceress, but
sorceress. Okay, sorceress. I don't want to be sexist here. So we also see the first magic usage of the kids. So in the trailer a while back, we saw the pacifiers up in the air. People thought they were levitating the pacifiers, but that wasn't that. They were just tossing it up at their parents. And so we do see the crying stops, and then all of a sudden they're older. They age up, and they're like, "What?" And what was it? Yeah, that was the point. I think that was the point where Agnes said, "Yeah, you can't control the kids," or something like that. Or kids, you can't
right.
control them. So there was another, kind of an incident right there where it's like, okay, so Wanda can't control the kids. Got it. And then actually later on, we see the kids age up again, and they're about 10 years old, which is kind of comical because, like, they had this incident where they found a dog, they brought the dog in, and they're, Vision and Wanda seem to have a not totally on board with each other, and so he didn't seem like he wanted to get a dog. And then she was like, "Well, you got to be at least 10 years old," and so they aged themselves up to 10. But the interesting thing is when you see that scene, they look at each other, and a lot of people, obviously in the comics, you had Wiccan and Speed. So one of them has Wanda like powers. The other has Quicksilver like powers. And so we're thinking, a lot of people are speculating that one of them has the power to age both of them up. Like they can both change, or the one can change the reality for both. So that might be the scenario. Anything?
I think they both have both powers. That's what I'm going with.
Ooh, okay, okay. So
Yeah.
they both have shared the same. Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
Right. So when they look at each other, it's that understanding of, okay, you ready to do this? All right, let's do this, and they do it together.
Right, right. Gotcha, gotcha. So so later on we see we kind of cut back to the real world, and they're breaking down what happened. They're talking to Monica Rambeau. She's explaining all these issues and all these things that she encountered when she was in there. You see they're trying to figure out how to manipulate what's going on. Sorry for the noise in the background. My daughter's in the bathroom, which is right beside the office. But so anyway, so Monica, she's trying to recant or restate what happens, and then the director of Sword is saying that Wanda is a villain. Like he's trying to villainize her. He's giving her all these different attributes. She's a terrorist and all these things. And you could tell that Jimmy Woo and Monica Rambeau were both trying to say, no, she's not a villain. She's not a bad guy. She's just, we don't know why she's doing this, but it's not because she's bad. And so they're trying to, you see the situation like X-Men, where it's like you got some that view them as like really bad and all villains, and then the other are like, no, they're allies. She even Monica Rambeau later on in the episode tells Wanda like, hey, you know me, I'm an ally. And so you kind of get that mutant situation going on already, that kind of separation that we see between Charles Xavier and Magneto. So what's next? What's next? Do you remember what happened next? I'm trying to break it
Well,
down.
you were talking about when Wanda steps out of her created universe, and she's carrying a drone that they had sent in.
Yeah.
And the drone was from the 80s, and what was cool was that when they were looking at the video footage as they were approaching the house, Wanda starts getting angry, and you can tell because her eyes start glowing red. But what's crazy cool about all this is that video footage would have only been black and white. So for it to come through as red, definitely tells us that, there's this magic element that's taking place, and her powers are even being communicated, surpass even the technology, and project these red eyes, because even the monitor would have been black and white at that time as well. So that was pretty neat. Also, we noticed that, of course, while she's been in the TV shows, she's had no accent whatsoever. But as soon
Yeah.
as she steps out of the world, her accent comes back, which was kind of neat.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think another thing too is we find out during that scene where the drone goes in, she controls what is being viewed by the quote unquote audience. So I don't know if she fully understands that people can see what's going on, because obviously if the drone's in the picture, she's somehow cutting it out of the picture. Like that's something I'm not quite entirely sure about, and they haven't completely broke
Yeah.
down. Is like her glitching time, her changing things, and kind of doing cut screens or screen cuts or whatever it's called, cut scenes. We don't fully understand that quite yet, but we do know that Agnes, she kind of sort of knows what's going on, and like I said earlier, she was like, "Hey, should I run that back?" But I did love her coming out. I love the power that we see of her controlling all of the Sword agents, pointing the guns at the director. I love that dialogue between her and Monica, where she's like, "Hey, I'm an ally," and she even points out that you're a telepath. You knew kind of sort of who I was. You let me deliver your kids, so you trusted me in your show. So please trust me now. And then she goes back in there, and it's not quite the same. Not quite the same. She does go back to reality, where they're trying to find the dogs or the dog that they saw earlier. But one of the things that I thought was interesting is she seemed like she really didn't know where the dog was. Like, did that come across?
Yeah. She didn't know that the dog had died, which would have been supposedly under her control.
Yeah.
And some of that lack of control we start to see within Vision. Vision starts to be able to express more emotions, and you pointed out in our conversations before, more of a humanistic character. And this is something that we've not seen from him before necessarily. And he even says that you can't control me. And
Yeah.
but we know that she knows that he's dead, but here he is, and we thought that it was all based on her control over him, because of course even Sword points out that she broke in and stole his body from their secret lair that they'd been keeping him in. And so we know that there are things that are outside of her control,
Hmm.
and we don't know who's orchestrating that. I guess that's really that bottom line. And so, is it Agatha? Is it somebody else still yet beyond her? Is it a character we've not met yet? Because the as we know, the MCU is not necessarily keeping to canon, so they could go anywhere they want to with this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, and yeah, one of the things that I loved about this, and we did this whole video, it got taken down because I had a clip from Endgame in it, so I'm not going to play the clip. But they're talking about the power of Wanda and how she's moving all of these physical things, and all the they're trying to, like Monica's saying she's in control of everything. So Monica's under the impression that she has all this, and she does have a lot of control and power. But as we've stated, we don't think she's controlling everything. And she says later that she's not controlling everything. But Monica does say that she could have annihilated Thanos by herself, which was closer than anybody else came. I said a while back that she was way more powerful than Captain Marvel. A lot of people thought I lost my mind, and they were like, no, she's the toughest and the baddest. Scarlet Witch and Thor are both more powerful than Captain Marvel. So, and I don't say that because I'm anti Brie Larson. I say that because it's just the truth. The facts are facts. So
Okay.
we get that clarification from Monica Rambeau that she could have annihilated him if she wanted to. So we're moving along, and she's come out. She's told them to back off. She goes back in there. The dog's dead, and then the kids look at her mom and they're like, "Hey, can you bring Sparky back?" Which is what they named the dog. And she's trying to tell them, like, no, you can't. You can't affect this. You can't just change things that you want to, even though that's exactly what she's doing. But the interesting thing is the kids knew. It was like they had some sort of internal realization of what their mom's power is. And, Agnes is there. She seemed like she kind of sort of understood it too. And then she's like, no, you can't do this. And that's when Vision comes in or back into the picture. And then they move along and they get to the house. And this is when we see Vision get angry. Like he's trying to figure out like what's going on here. And the other interesting thing is that he can't remember anything outside of that world. So this isn't the same Vision necessarily that we had pre-Infinity War,
Pre-snap.
pre-Snap. Because he's saying, I don't know anything beyond us suddenly being here. So that kind of helps explain how he might be more humanized than just a synthezoid or synthetic humanoid made of vibranium. And that's where I think, he's telling her, you can't control me. And she seemed like she thought she could. So she
Yeah.
said, I can't. And I think before maybe she could, but I think as Vision's progressing in the story, he's becoming more human. And somehow that's affecting her ability to control him. And one of the things that I really loved about this episode, there's a lot of things, was she tried to end the show. You see the credits roll, and he's just like, no, 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 you're not just going to do that. And I was just like, it was so brilliant, man. I don't know. I was fanboying. I'm not even really a fanboy like that of Wanda. But this episode has made me a fan of the whole idea. But so he stops. They go into the living room, and that's when you see him get angry, like angry for the first time. And she points out, she's like, I've never seen you like this. You've never talked to me like this. But again, I think this is a different Vision because the real one, as she's already shown us before, he's dead. So she has somehow taken his body and has done something to it. Somehow gave it life, I guess, in the same way she gave her kids life. And so it's a different Vision. So I think that's going to be interesting going forward if he survives the show. I don't know if he's going to survive this series or not. But then the big moment comes, and this is what everybody was freaking out about. My heart literally started racing. So there's a I guess a doorbell ring or a knock, either way.
Yeah.
And we see she opens the door. Vision doesn't know
Well,
who it is.
well, and that's just it. He says, Wanda, who's there? And she's like, well, wait a minute, I'm not doing this. And he's like,
Oh
yeah, I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
really believe you. I don't have any reason to believe that you're not orchestrating all of this. She's like, really, I have no control over this. I don't know who this is.
exactly.
And
And so we get this shocked look on her face, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, it's Doctor Strange. Finally, is Doctor Strange going to come try to fix things?" Did you have any guess of who it might have been?
I really didn't. Usually when I'm watching things for the first time, I try to go in the flow and, feel whatever it is that they're intending for us to do, and I don't analyze and break it down till later.
See, I got a bad habit of trying to break it down the whole entire time. So we get this visual, and I'm thinking, yes, they're bringing him back. Pietro, he was mentioned several times throughout the series and in this episode, and family is forever. And then the big shocker comes whenever he turns, or they get the front shot, and it's the Quicksilver from the Fox X-Men films.
Yeah, Peter.
Yeah. And so we are, I think so many people, like in my brain, I immediately, like the first thing I saw was Hugh Jackman. That was the first thing I saw because I was thinking, yes, he could come into this world now. Unfortunately, he's already made statements saying, hey, I've kind of done my time. I've spent 10 years playing this role. You also think he's getting older. It's hard to get into that kind of shape. Like, it's not easy. And so that's a lot of toll on a man. He's up in his 50s. He's probably in his 50s, right? It's got to be.
Probably older. I don't know.
Got to be. So, and a lot of people are trying to figure out, wait. I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. Like, her brother, as you see on the screen, is Pietro. He looks different. This is not her brother. And she even seems like she's not quite understanding what's going on. But she knows it's her brother because she says Pietro. And so now they're brother and sister. He calls her sister. And I don't know, we haven't gotten a full breakdown of whether he understands everything that's going on. I do know that whenever Darcy was going to go look on the screen to try to figure out what was going on, why all of the alarms were sounding. And those alarms, if you remember from, 2 of the episodes, those are breach alarms that something came in or out, or actually coming out of the, that's how we've heard it so far, I think. And so, but we hear that alarm going off as she looks, and Darcy says it's Pietro, but he's been recast. Which is kind of a Easter egg. It's kind of a, because we're thinking, not really.
Right.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. The audience is, I guess some of us are looking like, nah, he wasn't recast. He was just, this is the other version of it. But the cool thing is that, earlier in the episode, they say what her parents' name were. And even back in Age of Ultron, people were trying to figure out, well, hold on, wait a minute. If her father in the comics is Magneto, they're saying their parents died. What does that mean? Does that mean there would never be any type of Magneto type character? And even whenever the Fox deal went through when Disney bought Fox and got the X-Men character rights, people were trying to figure out, well, hold on, wait, her father's dead, so what are they going to do about Magneto? That was a lot of people's concern. And so bringing this version of Quicksilver in, his father is Magneto in the Fox universe.
Right.
So now they can just transition everybody or anybody they want to from the Fox universe, including Deadpool. And I can't wait to see his breakdown of this whole scenario. But So yeah, we got access to all the Fox characters, and the weird thing is, like this, I don't know if this is a mixture of Wanda's reality and the multiverse. What are your thoughts on how he got into this picture? Because she didn't control it. She said, "I'm not controlling it." What was your thoughts on that?
Well, we talked briefly about this before, and the first thing is that you understand this has to be multiverse,
Yeah.
because we've already acknowledged that this isn't Pietro, this is Peter. It's still Quicksilver, but she recognizes him as her brother, but it's not her brother. It's really the Peter or Pietro from another universe. And so the only way we can get him from one universe to another is Doctor Strange. That's how I see it. We know that Doctor Strange has to come into all of this anyway. They've already leaked that. This is going to lead into Doctor Strange 2. And so, this is that opportunity. Whether it was Sword that tapped Doctor Strange and said, "Hey, can you bring in her brother from another universe to be able to help us, get control of the situation," or if it's being orchestrated by the sorceress theory, and she brought him in from another universe and is orchestrating some more nefarious kind of scenario that obviously remains to be seen. But that's that. I'm not normally really a fan of multiverse stuff, but because of the situations that we've had with Fox and Sony and Disney and whatever, and so we essentially have created all of these multiverses by you know not intentionally, and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
unintentionally created these multiverses, and this
Well,
is the
we didn't do
easiest
it.
way.
The other people did
Well, no, but
it.
yeah, but so Marvel kind of unintentionally created a multiverse, and now we're able to be able. Now we have the ability to be able to bring it all in together, and be able to tap into some of these other actors and actresses that have so much more to be able to give to us, and characters that we already know and love and enjoy. And maybe even bring some redemption, hopefully, to some of the treatments that Fox and Sony have done. So,
Yeah, I was really excited to see. I can't remember this actor's name, but seeing him come back and do this role, I felt like he did a great job in the X Men. He was one of my favorite X Men characters from
mhm.
the newer version of it. But I do want to point out that I would love to see James McAvoy come back as Professor X. I think he did a great job. My favorite, actually, I lied. My favorite actor role from the first class type X Men films was Michael Fassbender as Magneto. I felt like he did a great job. You could see his emotion, his passion. He brought a good. I don't know. It just made you really like Magneto that much more, or it made me like Magneto that much more. Not that Gandalf didn't do a great job as Magneto, but I think Michael Fassbender did a great job, even better. So I'm hoping that those two come back. Everybody else, I can kind of, whatever. I don't think the actress that played Jean Grey is going to be coming back. I think she's probably really upset after Dark Phoenix. But I don't know. She might. She might. But one thing that I definitely want to do is I want everybody watching this to put in the comments who would you like to see come from that X-Men universe, from the Fox universe, over to the MCU? Like which actor, which character would you like to see come back over as they were already casted? And I want to know who you would want to see casted for Wolverine. Because that's kind of the big question is who is going to be the new Wolverine? Because in the other Fox world, Hugh Jackman played him for the old school and the new school. Like he just kind of transitioned because he doesn't age, which was, it's cool. And for me personally, this is kind of looking into the future. I'd love to see Wolverine show up in She-Hulk, and then the Hulk and Wolverine have their battle. But yeah, man, that's what I want to know from you, Wall. Sean, do you have any last comments or?
You'd asked me before who I thought that I would like to see that from, say, like the Fox universe, be able to be pulled over, and I think it's totally doable. I think that the actor did a great job of the character, and that's Nicholas Holt as Beast. I think that he's not going to be so overly paid that they can't afford to be able to pull him into some of the D+ episodes. And the Beast has always been a central character to the X-Men. He's always been an anchor, if you will. Probably, I would say, probably even more so than Professor X. He has been an anchor for the X-Men,
Yeah.
and it's there are other characters. There are actresses like Jennifer Lawrence, who
No,
a
she
lot of
can stay
people,
away. No.
yeah, a lot of people would probably be like, "Oh yeah, bring her back." But one, they're not going to be able to afford her, and two, she was kind of whiny about doing the last movie anyway.
Yeah.
And understand that there were some director issues. I get that, but even still, it's not. I don't know. I'm okay without her.
So I was trying to
That
look
that
up.
that would upset my daughter, but okay.
I was trying to find some short actors. I was googling them and trying to see who could play Wolverine because we need somebody short. And most everybody's like 5'7" that's on this list, except for Daniel Radcliffe. So we got Harry Potter, uh,
No,
Elijah Wood, Frodo,
no,
Frodo.
no. He's too old now.
You sure? You think so? How
Yeah,
about Kevin
yeah.
Hart? He's short. He's short. All right, let's go ahead and end this out. Let us know, who would you want to be Wolverine? Who would you want to be cast as a Wolverine? And I hope this is helpful for you. We're not the diehard experts in all of the Marvel world, but definitely wanted to
Or
bring in.
experts of the X-Men.
Ooh, we're not the
Ooh,
experts. Ooh, I like that. I like that.
right. Yeah,
Awesome,
yeah.
man.
I knew
But
you
we'll be
would.
back with another video sometime soon. Make sure you subscribe. I don't know how many of these types of videos we'll continue doing. I think anything that's really, really, really good, we might try to do some more of these for YouTube exclusive. But yeah, man. We'll see y'all next time. And always remember, Jesus loves you way more than Wanda loves Vision.